What's up, YouTube? It's the Console Samurai. And if you've been on social media in the last 4 or 5 days, particularly YouTube, there's a pretty good chance you've seen something about YouTube's new rules, their new terms of service. Now, these new rules don't affect viewers directly. They're targeted at the content creators, the YouTubers and the people who upload videos to YouTube for you to come watch. Now, in particular, it refers to the monetization and ad revenue portion of being a YouTuber, which I know is a really sensitive subject, and a lot of people really feel that YouTubers do not deserve to get paid, but that's a whole different subject from what I'm actually talking about. That's a different subject for a different day as to whether or not YouTubers should get paid. So I'm not gonna get into that in this video. What I am going to talk about is what the new terms of service are and why or why not they're a problem. Now, as I said, the new terms of service actually relate to ad revenue. In particular, these new terms of service list which videos are not ad friendly and cannot be monetized. And if your videos or if your channel regularly has this kind of content on it, your entire channel can be demonetized, which obviously would cause a problem for the people who do it full time. The new terms of service are as follows. Content that is considered not advertiser friendly includes, but is not limited to: 1. Sexually suggestive content including partial nudity and sexual humor. Now, to be fair, that's not a huge surprise. YouTube has always had a problem with, well, not really a problem, but YouTube has always had something in its terms of service that say no nudity on the channel whatsoever. Or if not always, then far enough back that long before I was using YouTube. So it's not really a huge surprise that now you can have partial nudity, since you couldn't have nudity at all. It's really just a baby step. The sexual content, though, that to me is overreacting, because to be honest, pretty much anything can have sexual content. It can be interpreted as having sexual content if you have a dirty mind. You know, the whole thing of "that's what she said" is very much a sexual thing, and people with dirty minds are always going to see some sexual humor in everything. So that really is going to be very hard for them to actually accurately police. And to be fair, it's YouTube. They'll never get it right. Completely, truly. They will always screw that up. Violence, including display of serious injury and events related to violence extremism. To some extent, I do understand this. You don't want to have a video of, say, a prank gone wrong and somebody gets hurt, even if the entire thing is faked. Beginning to end, the entire thing is faked, and some 10, 11-year-old kid sees it, thinks, oh, that shit's hilarious, goes out, does it to his friends or schoolmates or something, and somebody gets seriously hurt. YouTube does not want to be liable, to be sued for that, and that kind of makes sense. I'd like to think that people would know that it's just faked and you can't do that kind of stuff in the real world, but to be fair, society has proven that that's not going to work. That's just not going to be an option. All right, the third one. Inappropriate language, including harassment, profanity, and vulgar language. That one's absolutely ridiculous. They're trying to say now that because it has profanity in the videos, it's not advertiser friendly. But most advertisers don't have a problem with that. I don't see them not putting their advertisements in movies that have profanity. R-rated movies that have tons of profanity still get sponsorship deals, or they still have endorsements. They still have all these things. So it really doesn't make any sense, especially if you consider the fact that YouTube is trying to be up there with the big dogs, with the Netflix and the Hulu and the HBO Go and regular cable. They're trying to be up there with all these premium services that can have nudity, can have profanity, and also, number 4 on this list, promotion of drugs and related substances, including selling, use, and abuse of such items. All of YouTube's competitors actually have all of this stuff on there. So if YouTube is really trying to create this whole new alternative to television by coming up with these exclusive programming channels of YouTube Red, they're shooting themselves in the foot here. So that doesn't make any sense, and to be honest, the use of inappropriate language is not hurting anybody. There's really no harm in my use of the word fuck or shit. There's no harm in that, and I know that because I used it, YouTube's gonna lose their shit and go crazy. But there's no harm in it. Now, I do understand the idea of them not wanting to put illegal substances and drugs They don't want to promote something that is illegal. But the problem with that is that YouTube is a worldwide website now. Some things are legal in some countries and are not in others. Excuse me. You look at marijuana. How many countries is marijuana legal in? How many countries is marijuana illegal in? How are they going to distinguish which countries are allowed to put what videos up and where they can be shown? How are they going to do this? Or are they just going to just ban it across the board? Even in countries that it is completely legal, you can't see this because, well, YouTube is based here in the United States. It's not going to work. Now, the fifth one is the one I have a real problem with. The first four are just stupid. This one is actually a real problem. Controversial or sensitive subjects and events, including subjects related to war, political conflicts, natural disasters and tragedies, even if graphic imagery is not shown. Now, the reason I have a problem with this is that this is restricting the flow of information. The idea that we can't discuss, as YouTubers, people who actually upload their videos to the channel, we can't discuss controversial topics. We can't discuss any sensitive subjects or events. We can't discuss anything about war, political conflicts, natural disasters, or tragedies. Well, then that removes pretty much everything. Because if you look at a news channel, that's all they do. They do controversial things, regardless of whether you think you can trust the news or not. This is what the news and every news outlet is built on, is controversy, sensitive subjects, war, political conflict, natural disasters, and tragedies. And this isn't even a conspiracy theory. It's really, if you break down everything, that's all it is. It's all some form of that. So it's really strange that we can see Fox News or CNN or, you know, the U.S. News or the BBC, any of these can put these things on there, because a controversial subject could honestly be anything. This whole thing, this last part here, could restrict you from actually talking about which presidential candidate you like. Not even mudslinging one candidate to another, just saying, well, I prefer this one, I prefer that one. And that to me is a major problem, because it is restricting the flow of information. The ability to not talk about something that's going on. On my channel, I talk a lot about video games. I talk about the DLC practice and, you know, the pre-orders and why it's actually bad for gaming industry. These things are all considered controversial. A little while ago I made a video about whether Zelda was sexist or not. That is absolutely a controversial topic. And even though nobody really got offended by my video, although, you know, even though it was a really small video, just discussing whether or not Zelda was sexist is considered a controversial video. So the idea that we're not allowed to discuss anything, even remotely controversial anymore, is a big problem, because that is censorship in its absolute worst form. It is the inability to discuss a topic. And yes, I know that you could demonetize the video and you could still talk about it. But people who get paid, this is their #1 source of income. People who've made their channel big enough that they can survive off the ad revenue don't have the option to just go, well, I can just demonetize, because then they're not able to pay their bills, and that becomes a problem. And that is, YouTube is holding these people's channels hostage for actually sharing their honest opinion. And that's one of the things I love most about YouTube, is the fact that it is so many people who all have the ability to come out and share their actual opinion. And sometimes people make it really big on YouTube, sometimes they don't. But you always have the option of watching a channel that has their honest opinion on it. You don't have to worry about whether or not Fox News or CNN really are seriously biased towards the differing political parties, which I think we all kind of know they are. But a YouTuber, like one of the YouTubers I really respect a lot, Boogie2988, he comes out and he gives his honest opinion about things. And he is a large channel. He has a wide reach. But with things like this, he can't discuss things like he did. He can't discuss the controversial topics that relate to all of us. We can't share our opinion with people anymore because of this. But what do you think? Do you think that maybe this is not such a big thing, that these new terms of use are not going to be such a big problem? Or do you think that these new terms of service are going to be such a big thing that it's going to force YouTubers and content creators away from YouTube, and then, by extension, kill off YouTube? Either way, let me know what you think in the comments down below. Once again, I am the Console Samurai, and I'll see you around.